They've had a double whammy, sort of a positive one on the vaccine news and the 737 MAX getting back in the skies. How much is priced in now for Boeing?
Oh, it's really tough to say at this point. I mean, it's been a real situation where the market has been, sort of caught off sides when the vaccine news began to hit, because I think a lot of investors were concluding that a winter surge in COVID cases was likely. And given where we were at the point in the calendar year, folks said, it might be too early to buy these aerospace related names, Boeing principal among them, because it seems risky. And, when that vaccine news began to hit and it's just continued to come along, folks were really just not positioned for it. And so we're seeing a lot of sort of violent upward moves. And then when you go layering on things like, the MAX coming back and, the order from Ryanair, I mean, we're getting to a pretty news-driven rally here that, it's tough to say where we can go from here, but it's hard to see, the news not being anything but positive for quite some time.
Right. That said, your price target is 260. The stock is around 238. So that's, I guess, roughly about 10% upside. So it's not like this is something that you say there's necessarily 30 or 40% more to go from here. I mean, at what point do we start looking at, Boeing in a much more sort of positive way with much more upside than that? Or is it just not possible for the near term?
Well, there's just a lot of unanswered questions, right? So this is a stock where, the street used to be dreamy-eyed and talk about, mid-30s per share of free cash flow. Now that debate is shaking out somewhere in the, let's call it mid-teens to low 20s, right? So when we start thinking about, could there be upside to where the stock was before, given all the debt they've taken on and the interest costs associated with that? No, I don't think those are realistic targets. But, on those, mid-teens to 20s numbers, you look historically on where this stock is traded, it's been 10 times that when we hate it and 20 plus when we love it. And so it'll be a question of, does the market decide that you have to be invested in aerospace stocks as we vaccinate the global population and people return to airplanes after, the worst downturn in history, or not, right? And so there will be a lot of debate around what that right multiple is, in addition to what the numbers are. So, I think right now, the stock's not really trading on the short-term fundamentals. It's trading on the belief that the catalyst path is going to be a very positive one for some time to come.
And what's the multiple right now, Carter?
Well, it depends on what your numbers are. But, if you believe, that the recovered number is in and around $20, we're in that 11 to 12 kind of range. Now, that's several years off, right? We'd have to discount a target back. But if you believe that number, the market will pay something in the mid to high teens or even 20, you can start getting, reasonable amounts of upside. But, we're going to debate that because, this industry was thought to be, very secular in its growth profile and not as cyclical as it once was. And now we're in a position where I think with the pandemic, we'll debate that.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.